It's hard to understand the way that you went out. I bet you're living with a little hint of doubt. Maybe next time when you go to show your hand, you won't cut and run, you'll finally make a stand. 'Cause I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. We're not through. Yeah, I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. Existential questions always get you down. All you want to know is how we lost or found. Is there something that you feel you need to chase? I bet you thought you'd put me in my place. 'Cause I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. We're not through. I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. Yeah, I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. We're not through. Yeah, I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. You can run, you can hide, but inside, I'm finally getting to you. Yes, it's true. I still love you, but I am getting to you.
Stand by to initiate release sequencer. On my mark. 5,
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2, 1. Mark.
Can you hear me?
welcome back to the Resupply with kind of me
my
guy
life.
next door. So we're 2 episodes in, and not only has Than ditched us, but old mate to my right here, he's green with envy. He's green with envy. Oh, cool! He dropped out. Hang on, I'm gonna use this screen. 1 second. We'll be right back. Howdy, folks. It's me, your friendly guy next door. Yeah, so, like, I would try and, like, sing some excellent hold music, but I wouldn't do that to you guys. Alright, he's coming back. Bear with us. Bear with us. Boom! We're back!
Oh my god!
You know what? I'm gonna do this again. Welcome back to the Resupply with me, guy next door.
And me, DK? Ish.
Bringing you your weekly double tap of all things Space Marines and Laserforce. Man, that was seamless. I don't think anybody really could tell that we had technical problems just then.
Oh, fuck my life.
we handled that like professionals. Yeah.
A raccoon chewed through the cable on my end. I'm just gonna say that was the problem.
Tom Nook, you piece of shit. So yeah, we're back again this week, and so far we are 1 for 2. Yeah,
that's 50%, ladies and gentlemen.
which for us is pretty high. Oh, sweet as Dan, like, thanks for popping in and come watching our train work. Yeah, we're gonna do our best to kind of salvage what we can, and it's just the start of the show. So,
there's nowhere to go but up.
Look, we were talking during the week about what to talk about this week, because as most of you know, we're pretty stuck for content at the moment because nobody's able to actually go out and play Laserforce, with the exception of us in Auckland and our distant cousins across the ditch. But yeah, it's been a long time between drinks for anyone in the States, I believe. Yeah.
Do you have any more salt you'd like to pour on?
I don't know, I'll make a reference towards your video card at some stage soon.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
that will be part of the course.
So how did you find last week, man? Like, how did you feel after last week's show?
I felt great. I thought that it worked out the technical bugs, that everything was humming on all cylinders. We had a really good show. We got audience participation. It was an exciting time. We pulled off the D&D stream. I was like, this is great. This is an opening to a brave new world. And then literally the second we go live for our second show, it's just like, NVIDIA driver has decided to stop working, looking for HDMI output. And I just said, fuck my life. So that was great.
I was kind of hoping we would get to like 12 shows in before any of you had to just deal with 4 heads. But it's obviously taken significantly shorter amount of time for that. So you're welcome, by the way. I have a great 4-head, which I highlight with this beanie here.
This is our secret, to keep expectations low.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If anyone who's been listening to like the Resupply can attest to how good it is. Man, the feedback I got from last week's show was pretty good. Like, everyone who came and hang out for a while, like, I think had a good time. There seems to be more participation in this format of the show than there was previous, although it's kind of hard to gauge because, we don't have direct contact with people when we pre-record shit.
True.
But I had so much fun, man, and like coming down off last week's show, I was like, holy shit, I'm so glad we have the D&D show the next day, because I was flying high. But yeah, we speaking of the D&D show, that was cool, man. Like I never played before. I had a great time.
I think the boys did as well. Everyone seemed to have really good things to say about it. So I think that's kind of helped by having a dungeon master, if you know what I
Oh,
mean.
well, thank you for the kind words, sir.
Hmm.
It was an adventure watching through it again and realizing some of the things I kind of want to tweak for next time, just in thinking about the campaign going forward. But I thought it was great. It was a good session then, and I think it'll be good in the future. And we're playing again tomorrow because our
Yeah.
every other week schedule has already kind of been thrown into disarray.
So look, I like the timing. The timing's never good whenever you do stuff, but like the timing of us getting into the streaming side of things has been off by maybe 2 weeks. Dan, were you saying during the stream during the week on? Actually, so shout out to Blue Sin. Go follow his channel if you can. I'll chuck a link in the description, in the stream chat. But Dan Mano has come across from that stream. Was it you that was saying that you started basically playing, or was that Biscup? I think actually I think it might have been Biscup. Never mind. Yeah, I had a great time, and there was actually legit D&D people watching the stream and giving us feedback. I think what's highlighted for me is how we run our Discord page. If you haven't already joined, come join our Discord. But I think it's gonna morph from being Laserforce centric into more encompassing of everything that we kind of do on the show, or the stuff that we're going to implement on the show. And I think the first kind of signs of that was when some of those boys joined our Discord. Crom came in and has been conversing this week. But it was cool. I'd imagine you got a kick out of getting some feedback from proper D&D players.
It is just an all-out nerd fest on our channel now, so it's only gonna get bigger from here.
Well, so we've obviously we've discussed other stuff that we're going to do on the show. D&D will be a fortnightly show, with the exception of this week, but that's because it's my wife's birthday weekend next weekend. So,
yep. And it's probably just as well because it's also July 4th for Americans when we celebrate the independence of our country by blowing up small pieces of it.
And obviously, DK, your microphone's good enough to pick up explosions coming from outside.
Yeah, most likely, and it will probably also cause my video card to overheat again. So it's just as well that maybe we don't have a show that evening.
Yeah, but we'll
get back on track.
Once I get used to how technology works, I'll try and put more of a solid schedule up of what we have coming up, so people can, if you're interested, if you're into kind of coming to hang out with us, yeah, at least then you'll kind of know what's coming up and what days to kind of mark in your calendar, because people do that sort of thing. We actually have myself and a friend of mine, Gray, we have a show coming up in a couple of weeks called Thunderdome Thursdays, which I am super excited about.
I'm pretty excited based on the intro that I got to see an early exclusive look at.
Well, I'm sort of tossing and turning about whether or not to put up a preview or at least just put the title animation up, but I don't know, maybe we'll save that till that stream. But that's coming up not next Thursday, but the week after. And that'll mostly be me and him playing one-on-one versus games against each other. And we'll be trying to shame each other on the internet pretty much, but with our clothes on. So
you are a famously good loser, so I'm sure that will go very well.
So
gracious in defeat always.
I'm gonna hide all of the cheers from my lounge. Yeah, so we have that one to look forward to. If you are kind of newish here, go check out our Discord. Yeah, we're gonna, as we go, I'm gonna try and learn little tricks and stuff of making everything kind of more automated. making sure that, cameras don't cut out.
Well, speaking of automation, cameras, and technology,
Yeah.
maybe that would be a good segue to bring in our guest for this week.
It would be. So, if anyone saw, the pre-posts of today's show, we have another guest, because it wouldn't be the Resupply if we weren't, looking to others to fill our content for us. Yeah, let's bring him in now. Everyone's kind of like, if you've been following the Auckland tournament's Twitch stream, you've probably seen him do a few of his streams over the last 4 or 5 months.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has, and the stuff that he's working on is super impressive and super exciting, and super game changing. But we'll bring him in now. Hang on, I'm gonna try and do this smoothly. Watch this. Hang on. Boom. Welcome to the podcast,
Wow.
Mr. Dmihawk, aka Greg. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, bro. Good. How's your back after Laserforce this week?
Yeah, I'm a little broken. I'm noticing that I'm into my 30s now when Laserforce nights can actually break me, but yeah, be grateful that we're actually playing. We won't rub any more salt and throw all DKs.
Man, it's been really nice, especially after like lockdown and shit. It's actually been awesome to be able to like play again. And granted, aside from the first week that we came back, the numbers have been kind of low-ish. We were sort of getting like 8 or 9 people over the last month. Thanks, Comp Geek. Appreciate it. Quality transition. It still feels really good to play some form of Laserforce. I mean, I don't know about you, but that's kind of how I feel about the situation.
Yeah, I mean, being able to play, and then the fitness as well. I mean, it's such a different forefront of fitness required for Laserforce. I mean, I did heaps of training while we were all in full quarantine.
You sure did. How much did you lose?
I'm down 17 kilos.
Holy shit, dude.
On the
That's
start
awesome.
of the year.
That's
but,
close to 40 pounds, right? It's like 30, 35 pounds.
Something like that.
It's over 40 pounds.
Right. So, I mean, a lot of that was running and walking, but then, like, the first night we were back, ramps and shuttles and all this weird kind of stop motion turning in random directions. You feel it. You really feel it.
Yeah.
So, you've got to be fit, but there's like a Laserforce level of fit as well that, running laps around the field just does not cover.
It's a certain kind of muscle memory that just isn't engaged on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
Unless you want to, run through the aisles at a supermarket, bent at a 90-degree angle, and then just make a quick launch over to the other side and probably get kicked out by the staff because you're a crazy person.
Matt said he could vouch for this, did some runs with you.
Yeah, he did some hill training with me and tried to kill me a couple of times. But, yeah,
Piece of shit. I can attest to kind of both ways. So like, I've been a heavy set fella playing Laserforce, and I've been a lighter fella, and being lighter makes you significantly better at Laserforce, or being fitter, should I say? Maybe not necessarily lighter, but certainly being a more fitter version of yourself. So I'm super stoked for you that that you're in, I'd imagine, probably some of the best fighting shape of your adult life.
Yeah, and thanks.
Yeah. I can see also you've gone for the streamlined look, right? That helps with the...
I knew my forehead was going to be on stream unexpectedly, so I had to prepare. That's why I was forehead number 2.
Yeah, he was. That's an impressive forehead.
I'm glad I could make that happen for everybody. Are you sure you brought him on properly? Isn't somebody's computer supposed to just start smoking and blow up when you bring them onto the stream?
Usually, like I'm waiting for your early 4th of July celebrations from your computer.
Probably.
Yeah. All right. Well, look. Obviously, you've been working a while now for on the telemetry side of things. When did you start? When did you start working on it?
Ooh, it was probably about the time that we got confirmation that Auckland were hosting the next round of Nats.
Yeah.
So they probably would have been about the same time as Nats 2019.
Yeah. Maybe a year ago, or
Yeah.
almost a year ago. Right.
Probably around then.
Yeah, and so we've obviously been I personally have been very interested to see how it's kind of progressed and stuff, and like it's come a very long way in a very short period of time, and yeah, the stuff that you're able to do has been awesome. But I tell you what, we're gonna share your screen. All right, Dan, thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate it.
And if this causes my computer to blow up, then I'll see you all in a few minutes again.
We're gonna go to a very bare bones view. But do you wanna bring up the share, and I'll
Yep.
yeah. Boom. I'm gonna click this thing. Look at that. Look how seamless that was. Who's impressed? I am.
Oh, nice.
All right, we're still alive over here in the States.
We've still got DK.
Yep. But it's something I just have to say in the mirror every morning as well. Our country being what it is.
Yeah. Broken. So yeah, do you want to talk us through kind of the recent updates and what's kind of changed since the last time we saw you?
Sure. So it's like we're almost there in terms of the stuff that gets displayed on screen. I'd say we're reaching kind of that 90% mark of information that I think we're going to need to display to some degree. There'll probably be minor tweaks here and there, but the work that's left to do can't really be shown. It's stuff like putting a tournament structure in the background, so it'll automatically preload the next game coming up, for example, and that's all database stuff, and no one's going to be interested in that. I'm not even interested.
I can hear DK's computer crashing already.
Don't say database. Oh my god.
But I kind of random tangent, but I'm a big fan of Formula One, and I've been rewatching a lot of the past races, kind of because the season hasn't got underway with all the coronavirus going on. And looking at all the on-screen graphics that they've developed over the last couple of years, every time I sat down to go back to the telemetry stuff, I'm like, it just doesn't look good.
Right.
Like I like that the information's on screen, but it looks like it was done by someone who has no graphical design skills whatsoever, which in fairness it was.
Yeah.
So what I've kind of done over the last couple of weeks since I last displayed it is really try to have a decent go at actually making it look nice and make it look kind of, I don't want to say professional, but at least better than my MS Paint job skills. So yeah, it's really just trying to tidy it up. I guess because lots of pieces had gone into place as people suggested them without really tying everything in together, it had become quite piecemeal. Like I loved all the suggestions. I think it was Traj gave me the suggestion on the missile icons. I forget, it might have been Comp Geek or someone else gave me the suggestion for the toughness and the respawn timers. And I kind of just chucked them in, but hadn't really styled everything together. So one of the pieces of feedback I got from people was, hey, it looks great, but there's too much happening. Like there's lots of different colors and it's really distracting and it's kind of
Like
hard to follow.
Clutter almost.
Yeah, so it's my goal has been kind of, let's make it visually digestible without really reducing the amount of stuff we've got on screen. Let's just clean everything up.
Let's make it sexy.
Yeah. And that's how we are now. So
yeah.
Should I spin her up?
Absolutely.
All right.
Let's do it.
Let's choose a game that doesn't make me look terrible. Hey, quiet you. Go back to green screen.
So straight off the bat, you can see that the whole scoreboard area has basically been overhauled. and it's now looking, I think, a lot cleaner.
Yeah, that's looking good.
That's a nice
Well,
looking
loading-
clock too.
Game in. Bam, there we go.
That's cool, man. Look at that.
So it's essentially the same information. It's just a little different. I mean, one of the biggest things that changed is I've put lives over on the far left side where special used to be now.
Right.
And
okay.
someone raised a really good point in the last stream. I think when I had Russ on, and said that would kind of make more sense to put there because that's kind of your key metric, right? I mean, it doesn't matter how many special points you've got if you're at a live. So I kind of thought on it, and I thought, and then I did it, and I looked at it, and yeah, it does actually make more sense. So that's kind of where that's come from. I've pulled away from those garish red and green borders because they didn't look good to me.
I love
but I think
Christmas.
having the names in your team color is enough and not really overly distracting. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'll get this game running.
Matt said, "Can we get a game from last time that I cancelled a nuke?" Why you gotta come in here with your negativity, Matt? You jerk.
No, because I don't have the TDF. And so one of the other things that I've put in that's a little new, let me flip this one on, is graphing.
Ooh, that's cool.
Stat types. So at the moment we're looking at the scores for both teams in real time.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's
And
a
so-
fun metric right there.
And so that'll just adjust, obviously, as the scale gets bigger, right?
Yep. So there's a couple of modes for the commentators. At the moment we're looking at the last 30 seconds of the game. So you'll see that the graph is sliding from right to left and not really adjusting. If I switch that over to entire game mode, you'll see that the graph is kind of compressing itself rather than just moving from right to left. So you can look at the whole game, but I find by the time we get to the 12 or 13 minute mark where teams are up in like the 30,000 to 40,000 score range, kind of gets hard to actually watch the gap between them. So I don't know, but it's up to the commentators, and they can switch modes at the click of a button and look at whatever they want. They can also switch it over to predicted winning team.
Ha! That's cool. And so that's based on is this like a similar metric as those slider up the top?
Same value. You're just looking at it over time.
Right.
And the same thing, I can switch that to the entire game, which looks like red team have been favoured pretty much the entire time.
Which in our maze is about accurate.
Yeah, the AI still needs a bit of tweaking, but yeah, so you can switch that between the two modes. That's the last 30 seconds instead.
So Simon Leach has said it'd be nice with time intervals on the bottom. It might be a little small to read if you were to kind of, and I guess if you're looking at it, it's like what'd you say, 30 seconds?
Yeah, they're on the 30-second mode at the moment.
Okay. That'd be really interesting to see, like, or to be able to see kind of turning points of the game in that kind of graphed out way. Because normally when we look at a game, you're looking at a real time, immediate snapshot of the game. Whereas with that gives you a wider snapshot. That's really cool. You can see, all right, so really in the last 30 seconds there was, a massive turning point. Maybe a few nukes were dropped or whatever. That's dope, man. That's real cool. And it gives you like a real interesting like visual animation for people to watch during the game. That's not the cameras that will eventually go up the top, right?
Yeah. It's just I'll unashamedly admit that I stole the graph from LF Stats. Thank you, Russ. He remains our stats god. But yeah, the ability to watch kind of graphing in real time is something that a lot of other sports take advantage of. They don't always display the graphs in real time, but there is some form of looking at how the game is progressing over time and trajectories and other related stats. So it felt like
I've always loved the moments in sports where you can see, one team has a steadily climbing win percentage and it's up to like 99%, and then it just collapses in the last 30 seconds. And it's like, oh, that's a rough one.
So like Patriots versus Falcons in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think at one point, I think the Falcons were like over 90 or 95% to
Yeah.
win that game, something like that.
It was a great Super Bowl.
So it's just swung to green, which is interesting to see.
So
Yeah, so it pulls. It changed the line color based on whoever's over the kind of neutral mark. It looks like.
That's right. Just
Cool.
makes it a little bit easier to tell which team is on top.
Very nice. And do you have a script that will automatically change your guys' DK to imitation DK the way that it should be displayed, or is that just a manual hack I'm going to have to ask for at some point?
Feature request from DK, add names for other DK. Yeah, logged in the
can you make like our DK, as in this guy, his appearance is always green, for when his video card shits itself.
It was just trying to match my hair, man.
That's really cool, man.
The other one for the AI is that if it detects Rusty's on one of the teams, that team automatically has a 100% prediction of winning the game. So, especially if he's commander, it's 200%. There's nothing that can swing it there.
So
although last year we might have seen one of those graphs where it looks like they're up and then it has a sudden collapse. So you never know.
We don't remember that. We don't talk about that one. Is there?
I don't see why it makes a difference to you.
I want to see the telemetry of the game that gets inadvertently cancelled by one of the refs partway through.
I thought you guys were done rubbing salt in my wounds.
Absolutely not.
All right, fair enough.
Was
That's what
that-
I get for
was that
ruining
your
the first
game?
part of the stream? Oh yeah,
Rough.
because it was the first game that we played against Detroit B, I think, where we had switched up positions, where we changed Aiden to heavy and me to commander, and
Yeah.
it was going to be this big switch that threw them all off, and the game was off to such a great start. I think I already had a nuke built, and then just kaput.
Oh,
So
Sanch, what the fuck?
yeah, I might have let Fred out here a little bit after that technical mishap.
So what is that being displayed now where the graph was? That's medic.
So this is player analysis stats. So specifically, this is showing for you who you've hit in decreasing order of count, and then who you've been hit by.
Oh, that's so cool, man.
So in terms of looking at medic hits, we can see that Matt Godservant has hit you 5 times, DK, fake DK has hit you twice, and Ninja Jack has just hit you once.
Right.
And so if we go and switch over and have a look at Heathen, we can see that so I've hit him 5 times, Mr. Doom, Ron's hit him 4, and Robin Tron's got 2 hits in on him. So it's kind of just we can actually switch to the medic hits stat to see that as well, but it's just kind of, you can do that for every player.
That's really cool.
Cool.
Will that show team kill, like friendly fire on their own medic? So
Is there a particular reason you're asking for that?
well, so that like well, actually the gun tells you now when your own team kills you, so I can like make sure that I direct my complaints to the appropriate people.
A very simple complaint.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. You're not allowed cheers in the arena, so don't worry.
Maybe you should work on getting hit a little bit less often. Just to
Who, me?
something to think about. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
that-
just a little bit.
See, that's I blame lockdown for my portly physique. It's hard to move.
Hey, not all of us can be as good as Dmihawk. Some of us have put on our COVID-19, shall we
Oh,
say.
yeah, I put on mine, and then I also put on my wife's. So
Cool. Everyone's muted, so watch Mr. Doom's. There we go.
oh, he's activated.
Oh.
You activated and detonated.
Cool.
So
Oh.
you're displaying how many you've dropped and how many of those have detonated. Credit to Godservant Matt for that little suggestion, which I think is quite cool.
Wait, so where does it show that?
So you see,
On their nuke bar.
yeah. So where the special points are now in that bottom right corner, like
Yeah.
if you look at Godservant, you'll see he's sitting on 3 nukes and 4 special at the moment.
Yeah.
So when he goes to drop, which I'm
Oh, I
sure
had the 2 from 2, right? when
Yeah.
when Mr. Zoom dropped.
Yeah, and it flashes in yellow when it says nuke activated.
There you go,
Yep,
here
here he goes. Here he goes.
That'll
1-1.
that'll be the end of old guy next door. Oh no. Got one left.
2-2. That was a long
One
game.
left.
no,
One
yeah.
left.
Boom.
And you're out.
And now you're dead.
Yep.
That's disappointing. Hate dying.
A reset by Imitation DK. Wah, wah.
Ba-bong. I really like how it displays all of those things. So you've done a real good job on, like you said before, how everything was kind of messy and there was heaps of stuff all over the place. This still displays the same amount of information, but in a really clean, efficient way. Like, it looks fantastic, man.
Thank you.
It's easier to reference stuff. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I will fully admit, at first, it took some getting used to, and I've just had so many years looking at the old stuff and thinking like, okay, this is how I read the game screen. But it really is having a lot more information at your fingertips and not having to kind of walk through your mind and extrapolate as much information from tracing down how many specials everybody has and stuff like that, because that data is just so readily available.
With it's interesting because when I talk to people in general about this particular change, there's always the caveat that I hear of, yeah, this is really cool, and then also we'll still be able to have the original scoreboard still play during games. And whilst I understand, because change is a difficult thing to kind of process, especially when you're used to a thing for decades. But I think once people do get used to this format, the likelihood of people switching from this screen back to the old one is going to become less frequent, because you can see so much data here, and once you know where to look for the data, it's very easily digestible, which I think is perfect. It's the best way to get people to really embrace the change.
Yeah, that's certainly the hope. And I mean, part of the reason that I wanted to stream the development process was for people to give me that feedback, so that I didn't have reasons for people to not use this.
Yeah.
Tell me what you like about the old scoreboard that's missing from the new scoreboard, or that's too difficult to read on the new scoreboard, and I'll just change the new scoreboard to meet that kind of stuff. I really wanted to be a community-driven kind of design. And
Yeah.
that's kind of been that last step to pulling everything together.
One thing I think I forgot to mention on the last stream that you were doing, I meant to hop on the chat and bring this up. It might be kind of nice to still see the total lives per team on there.
Oh, yeah.
Just so you have a kind of count of, okay, who's leading. It is easy enough to tell on here, because, oh, look, we have everybody on the green team is in the red when it comes to lives. We have 2 people who are still in green on the red team in terms of their lives and stuff like that. So it's very easy to tell that, yeah, red is clearly healthier than green team. But sometimes you like that view. It's like, oh, wow, everybody's on single digits on this other team. They either need resupply or they're about to get their asses kicked.
It's
I could definitely add that on. Yep.
yeah. This is actually a really good game.
We're just engrossed now. Like, oh,
Yeah.
Pretty close. From memory, it doesn't go to Elam, but it's pretty close.
Biscuit, thanks for stopping in, bro. Like, I'll message you in Discord, and we're all fairly new to Twitch, so perhaps I'll pick your brain about what you were talking. Oh, okay, yeah. I think I'm supposed to there's no category for the stream for the resupply. I think that's because I couldn't figure out what to put the resupply under. There was no category for shoddy production for laser tag enthusiast.
Generic nerd shit.
Yeah. But I'll have a look after, man. But yeah, so oh shit, I forgot what I was gonna say. I was gonna say.
we're too busy watching the game.
I know,
here.
right? It's so good.
Everybody's in the red. This is a good game.
So like this, it's interesting because like I've gone back through just chatting. Okay, I'll set it to that. I've gone back through and watched past games before. I've watched the Ballarat Internationals finals multiple times, and that was when
I'm sure you have.
that was when the only way we could get this information. That's I think we talked about it before. That's kind of the birth of streaming the scoreboards, was because we had a camcorder set up pointed at the computer. Hoodie, my man. I forgot where I was going with that. That's terrible. Oh yeah. Okay.
Camcorder set up to tape the game screen.
Right. So this actually, like, this format of watching a game unfold makes it really entertaining to watch replays, because you get more of a sense of how the game is kind of progressing than you normally do from just watching the standard scoreboard. So it's really awesome, man. I can't believe we won this game.
Wow. Yeah. I feel like that could have been a classic example of one of those games where red team is like 99% to win, and then just, oh, look, both of them got tagged in the last second, and boom, there goes the graph.
Well, I mean, so they were predicted to win, but they still lost.
Yeah, the AI still got work to do.
Some people are so lazy.
I probably need to do another 100 or 200 scoreboards with the data before it's even remotely reliable. But that's on my list of really boring, technical, not viewer interesting tasks. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that you say the word parser like 50 times or something.
I don't feel like we say that word that weird.
Parser. It's I have to like enunciate the R's, because otherwise it's parser, and people are like, what is that word that you're saying?
You're going out for Italian food? You're gonna have some pasta?
Yeah, some pasta. I gotta say, Robin Schwan did a fantastic job in this game. She managed to get like all of her missiles off. Only one on a base. That's pretty good. That's something I think we'd talked about as well, was what happens if people whiff on a missile. You have specific color coordination for some of the other stuff that happens, right?
Yeah. So green missiles in there, missiles in there are all hits. It's yellow for a miss, red for hitting your own team, and the purple missile of shame for hitting your own medic.
Actually, so you know how you had the breakdown in the what is that little box called where the top accuracy is? What is that? What's the
that's called the stats panel.
Okay, so in the stats panel, when you went to the specific medic, will that show missiles on a medic as well, or is that purely just zaps?
That's just zaps, I'm fairly sure. I don't think I've got anything from missiles yet.
No. Or what kind of missile is 2, like it tends to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, okay. That's kind of cool. Do you have any other games? We could like...
Well, if we're going to have more games, we need to get like more Wolfman on here to call them properly, instead of just me gawking at the screen and being like, oh, it's close. Oh wow! Look what just happened. I gotta work on my commentating, man.
I can't wait until it's such a shame. Like, okay, so we are almost coming up on a year from between nationals, and this will be the first year in a while that we haven't had an international tournament.
Yeah.
But I can't wait for the time when we can play with our full community in one place, but also when we can get Morange and Wolfman on the mic with this software and have them really like deep dive into games. This is gonna be awesome.
For sure.
What have you changed the view to here? What is that? That's the classic view, right?
This is the original scoreboard format.
Right.
Mhm.
not styled the same way that you'll see on site,
Mm.
but for people who are really like, if one of the commentators is really die hard into the original scoreboard, then this is it. Yeah,
I like that
I mean,
bounding box around the target.
flip this in, kind of a bit big at the moment. This is kind of part of what I showed with Russ. Is this is what the commentators will see. You won't see this on stream. The commentators will probably have this on a second screen for Nat's setup, but it just shows the controls you kind of got. So we're looking at the original scoreboard at the moment. We can flip that over to the new scoreboard and it will refresh. So event feeders I kind of talked about is the difference between whether people get grouped in order of their team and classes, or if you prefer it just as the events happen in real time. And then this is all the new stuff here. So we've got player analysis, rank stats, and graphs. So player analysis, you pick your player, and they'll show up in the stats panel.
Cool.
Or you're playing out, and you're a scout. There we go.
Uh-oh.
Robintron's beating you. Yeah.
Damn it. Ducky says he loves the old school. That's because you're an old school dude. They get much more old school than you, Duck Man.
It's very true. We know he does not like change. He doesn't even like when we change from Discord to Roll20.
That red is really dark and difficult to read, though, as Skolky mentioned earlier.
Right, I can look at brightening the red.
Night Owl is as old school as it gets. There's that, that Mount Rushmore of old guys that play Laserforce, and he's most certainly one of them. Right up there with our boy Old Man Than. Right alongside Mr. Trage himself.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think anytime you're talking monuments of true giants in the game who helped make it what it is, Tragedy and Night Owl definitely have to be on there.
See you, Ben.
Because without their organizational skills from back in the day, we certainly would not have Laserforce tournaments up to their current standard.
Oh, for sure. And this is kind of the next progression for that. So we've been through multiple iterations of Laserforce. I think Ducky meant red on the old school red. I'm not sure what that means, mate.
No, I think he's talking about the text of the red against the black background. Yeah. So yeah, you might want to brighten it up or even move it a little bit more toward like more of a matte red, I guess. So more on the pink spectrum, I guess.
So I think probably
if it's super dark background.
If I was to hazard a guess, I would imagine that the background will most likely change to something a little more designed than just black, right? Hint, hint, Marco.
Marco.
And that's what we call a callback.
But yeah, so we've obviously seen many iterations of the scoreboard, of the suits, and this to me is the natural progression, because I mean it looks amazing, and yeah, just the amount of data you can glean from everything that's on the screen now is stats / commentators' wet dreams. Yeah, I love me a flashing rapid fire active.
Well, going back to something that you said earlier, Steve, about watching games that had already happened and things like that, going back to review things.
Yeah.
Being able to toggle between the different options for individual player analysis or for score tracking or any of those kinds of things that you want to pull up, that can be really helpful, because I know sometimes I've rewatched games in the past and tried to figure out like where kind of some of the key turning points are, and it's not always identifiable just from the old school data that's on there, but there might be some other kinds of settings you can do in here that if you just look at things from a slightly different way, you can say, okay, actually this moment in the game was a little bit more consequential than I thought it was at first glance.
Which is more, when you talk to a lot of people, a lot of newer players, or yeah, basically a lot of newer players, they watch a game and they see the score, then the first thing that's thought of is, oh, that team or that player is way ahead because the score's higher. and that, you know, as you play more Space Marines, you understand that that's not always the case. Like, just because your score's bigger doesn't mean that you're on top. You know, bases, lives, all that stuff come into play. So
yeah, where your relative kind of resupply feel is, because somebody might be ahead because they went on an extended attack, the other person was getting resupplied, and that's going to reverse itself now that that person's full and the other person's almost on empty.
It's so cool, man. And the way that, like, you're able to seamlessly transition between you know, various graphs and information, it's almost as good as what we have on the resupply.
I'm getting that.
Yeah, professional.
Yep. When does the green screen of death happen?
What we were talking about.
Switch to forehead mode.
We were talking about potentially doing some rewatching of past Laserforce games on the stream, similar to how we broke down you know, the first person videos, Greg, on the Auckland Laserforce YouTube. But you could almost do the same sort of thing here. It may be not as, like, quite as visually appealing for a lot of people, but you could do it. Or maybe we figure out a way to do both. If we can, like, record some first person games at members night or something, and then capture the stats and stuff, then we can maybe run a couple of streams where we look at this versus the first person camera. That would be awesome, actually. So if you have somebody wearing the GoPro, and you have the stats box with their personal stats up, oh man, that would be cool. Ooh, we absolutely need to do that.
I have an idea in progress here.
Oh my god, can you hear the cogs turning? Because I can. They don't turn
What you
off.
have to do is you have to paint all your walls green, get everybody to wear suits that have little ping pong balls all over them, and then you just superimpose that fucked up wombat avatar on everybody, so you can watch little wombats run around and shoot each other.
Rona Pikachu. Actually, well, so because we were talking, I don't know if you saw it, EK, but Greg also built our arena as a 3D playable model.
Oh yeah, of course I saw that.
Yeah,
which is very cool.
So I mean, you know, if people wear motion trackers, we should make Greg do even more free work. That would be awesome.
Well, who knows? That might have been one of those things that Marco couldn't talk about that's in the works for later on. Because I would imagine that there's got to be something similar to that kind of tracking in Gen 8 systems, because that's, I think, how the radiation storms work. It affects suits within a certain proximity of a generator and things like that. So, I mean, in theory, I feel like we're kind of building toward that. So between that, if we had kind of that motion tracking data and could measure the other things, then we really would, I think, be on sort of a true analytics revolution for Laserforce, because there'd be so many more things that we could take advantage of in analyzing things. And if we've learned anything from other sports, it's that if you know how to analyze that data, you can actually build a pretty significant edge for your team.
It's the future of Laserforce, is what it is.
3D tracking would be awesome.
Hell yes. You just have to find some sap with enough free time on their hands to kind of like build it. Hey.
Yeah.
Also, it helps if you have an actual Laserforce site to play at.
That helps too. Yeah, it's kind of like right up there in the top 4 things that you need. Yeah, it's so cool. I'm so excited about the prospect of doing that first person with the tracker. Radiation works like a warbot, works on older generations too. Yeah, they would. I was talking to somebody recently. Was it you, Greg, that was saying about it's not so much GPS that's in the suit, but a variation of.
Well, yeah. I mean, when I jumped on the resupply stream, God, that was ages ago. When we kind of hinted at it. As Dan pointed out, you think of it like GPS, but GPS requires line of sight to the sky. That's why you tend to lose it, like if you're driving through a tunnel. The biggest problem we face is because Laserforce runs over a specific radio frequency, we can't interfere on that frequency at all, because no one's going to love 3D tracking if the game is unplayable.
Yeah, that's when
Very good point.
Scorpion busts out a bat and just.
Got to find a very specific frequency that will work. That's not like owned. So the problem with frequencies, which is a weird concept to try and think about, is that there's a range of them that are owned by the government, by the military, and by the private sectors. And so what you can actually work with is this really, really tiny band that a lot of people blast for, like pirate radio and RC control and, homemade drones and that kind of stuff. So we need something that'll work without interfering with the Laserforce suits, that has the resolution and real-time capabilities of not looking like it was built in 1992. And is
love the 90s.
And there's VR tech that's heading in that direction with the way they do motion tracking. But the problem is powering and placing transmitters on the suits without interfering with the existing tech. We'd really need the Brisbane guys to come on board and agree to let us make some kind of modification to the chipboard, or to do it for us.
That one's a little tougher.
But yeah,
because I know you're watching the resupply stream.
But yeah, that's our limiting step at the moment. It's actually affordable to do. We need to power it, and we can't really add to the suits at the moment without probably voiding all the warranties.
Yeah.
Which
let's not do that.
Yeah.
I can hear Sage screaming at me from the background. Horrible things like that.
You can't say that. What are you doing? Yeah.
But yeah,
we're not Marco. We don't have NDAs. We can do whatever we want.
Heathen said, should be easy to buy frequency, only a few $1,000s. Maybe we'll start a Kickstarter. Maybe that's what we should do. Ducky, that was one of the issues with early generation Laserforce equipment and using them in the US. Yeah, right on. Is that because everyone over there owns their own frequency?
I think just the bands that they were using were close to overlapping with some of their commercial use, or maybe it butted up against something the government was using, because for some reason the FCC gets terribly touchy if you start misusing radio frequencies in the US. I can't imagine why.
They're so paranoid.
I know.
Don't think frequency sells for a few thousand. Might need to add a couple of zeros. I think you might be right there, noob. But Kickstarter. I'm just spitballing here. We need to start a Kickstarter.
Some people need kidney transplants. We need upgrades for our laser tag stuff.
Yeah, so, we need to be able to
take money where you're comfortable.
Watch ourselves play Laserforce in a 3D built world. That's what we need. Yeah, right on. This is so cool. I love watching
this. Just keep on that current thread. I can see it having generalized applications for non-SM5 Laserforce, right? I mean, kids' birthday parties, they kind of half look at the scoreboard and you look at how many birthday parties where they miss all of the bases across an entire team of 12 people and you think they haven't really grasped the game. But I'd see parents, for example, watching our screens, because we've got 5 cameras in our maze?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that, watching,
active,
and
I think.
They do kind of watch it. So to be able to have the 3D visualization of where everyone actually is in the maze, I think
run in real time.
Yeah, having a good spectator element to it. And I mean, if the guys at Laserforce HQ can just put the tracking stuff in there without having to do all the development on it, just the hardware we need, I'm sure it wouldn't be hard for the community to rustle up some kind of 3D mapping software and tracking application. I'll do it for free if they put the hardware in for me.
Be a great way to involve parents further. I think you're right. But I suppose that the question then becomes: is doing that and adding the adding the cost, whatever the added cost to the suit would be, is that going to generate more for the licensees? I'm not sure it would, because whilst parents, if it was a thing that parents could utilize, then they would, but it's not something I don't think people are kind of asking for outside of us.
Stuff to think about.
Oh my god, it'd be so awesome though if you could have a mini map with, you know, people's locations.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Well, speaking of foreheads, well, I know we weren't talking about foreheads, but I've got a message from one Mr. Fan who says that his family D&D game is done. So if
drop
we
him
still
in.
want to have him on, he can join in.
Absolutely, bring him in.
While you guys are bringing him in, the thing I pushed or proposed to Kev, who used to own Laserforce Auckland site back when I started getting this kind of 21st century adaptation on Laserforce going, was sell the stuff as part of a birthday package, right? I mean, think like if you go say bungee jumping or something, right? You can buy a video for like $60 of the 6 seconds it takes for you to do the fall and the bounce back, right? Imagine if the birthday party package came with like a replay of the scoreboard and 3D visualization of where everyone was.
It'd be great. Like,
I mean, there's a way to recap your costs.
Yeah, to a point. Because you'd have to make it look, you know, visually appealing for them to actually watch the replay of it. Hey, Than.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing? Good to see you.
So like, I totally haven't missed anything in the last like 60 minutes, right? Like nothing has fucking happened.
Well,
You just totally waited for me to do everything.
It's
right?
all preamble at this point.
Well, I tried to buy you some time by having my computer totally shit the bed, but I only got through about 5 minutes a show, so we've had to just fill the other 55 minutes.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
It was
totally understand that.
seamless though. I don't think anyone noticed. So you know, I think we got away with it.
I certainly wouldn't notice if I wasn't here, so it's fine.
No. I mean, nobody noticed that DK's computer shit itself. You have to watch the VOD because it's highly entertaining. Maybe we.
Yeah, especially since I'm still in chat on my phone there, and I was just ranting.
Yeah, he's
about
like, "What the fuck?"
Well,
I'm like, "Hey, what?"
Obviously, it just means you need a new computer. I think we've had this discussion.
Saying that, you're speaking it into existence.
I'm trying to do
Yes.
like the opening, just like, "Hey, welcome to the Resupply." And his DK's in the background. Go, fucking what the fuck?
So good.
Yeah,
So good.
amazing. But welcome to the future. Look at this beautifulness that we have. I can't.
The red is too dark.
Yeah, but again, like,
Yeah,
this,
we brought
I'm just gonna put this on Front Street. It's likely that the background is gonna change people, so we'll tackle that problem when we get to it.
Greg, but Greg, I'm totally writing you a user story to change that red, because right now the red on that black is just fucking terrible.
I like it. It's like the color of blood, and blood is awesome.
You're fucking stupid, Steve-O.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes.
Just send me the links to Kanban boards, and I'll get it done.
Well, you know, is
No
it 'cause
worries.
you guys share the same hairstyle, or you see that subtle drive-by? It's awesome.
I'm not sure how subtle it actually was.
Actually, it was so subtle that I wasn't even listening to you.
Yeah, I could tell because I'm watching your camera. You're just like,
He's just learning to tune you out after all these years.
yeah. He's
It's
like,
just part of the
what's that?
course.
Steve-O's like giving me shit about my hair. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, long-haired fuck.
I'm sorry, Steve-O, did you say something?
But
Get a haircut, you hippie.
one thing I want to point out to you, Thang, because you missed it. Because you know we start at 1 o'clock New Zealand time, not 2. Is the stats box with the medic stuff? Can you switch to that, Greg, please?
You want to look at a specific minute? Or
Either one is fine.
Let's go. Let's look at God Servant. He's taking a few hits.
Boom. So you can like break down who's been getting in on the medics in real time. I love it. I love it so much.
So hoodie,
Yeah.
hoodie.
Hit by
hoodie.
to be hit by a hoodlum 12 times, fucker.
Man, that was just minute 1.
Is it possible to actually put games from previous nationals into this?
No, because they've got to be in TDF format.
God damn it! I'm gonna pretend I know what that is.
That's the new update. Brisbane.
It's like PDF, but they changed the P to a T.
Oh, well, that just seems not inclusive.
Yeah, you just have to install Acrobat Reader and it fixes everything.
Nukes trigger a 5G boost.
Careful, we get more Rona.
Yeah.
for all your COVID needs.
I'm on you, Bill Gates.
But yeah, what's your impression of this, Dan?
So now that I'm actually now that I've actually full screen the stream on my good monitor, the red's actually not as terrible as I thought it was, but it's still bad. But overall, though, like, I mean, this is super clean. I'm really digging on the the downtime monitor stuff on people. Like that's kind of awesome. Yeah, this is welcome to the future, which I'm sure has already been said by somebody at least once with this. But I mean, part of my brain is having a little bit of a problem with it because it's not what I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, we went over that too.
Yeah, well, okay. I'm sure I'm just fucking recapping a whole bunch of shit because there was that whole family D&D game that was really important, seriously important to do. So yeah, I missed some things.
D&D is important. You'll get no argument from me.
Yeah, D&D is important.
Did you say G&D is important? Because I agree.
Well,
no, we would never say that.
Fuck.
Well, actually, occasionally I might. You're good. You're a good vice captain because you're way better with people than I am. But
yeah, good with a chair.
I mean, that too.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, this is it's boggling to me on some levels. Like thinking back to what what the default scoreboard was with Gen 4, because that's where we started, and thinking that was like the most amazing thing ever, which at the time it certainly was.
It wasn't too much different than than the version of the classic scoreboard that you have, Greg.
Yeah, that does kind of remind me of it in a lot of ways, because there's no screen flipping, there's no real symbols.
Well, and the funny thing with that is like, going back to the whole, Laserforce's roots are Photon. I saw a couple of screenshots of like the original Photon score screen. Yeah, it's literally the classic Laserforce screen is exactly the Photon score screen, but that's neither here nor there. But going from that to obviously the move into the Windows versions of the software, where the scoreboard got a little cooler and a little more visually intriguing, and then it's continually gotten a little more visually intriguing, but it was still basically the same thing. And now kind of moving to this, it's real fucking cool.
And once we convince Marco to get involved for free, it's gonna look even better.
Yeah.
No. Here, no. We convince Laserforce to pay Marco to get involved, because Laserforce will want this as an option, and so therefore Marco's going to have to do a little bit of work to make it pretty if they're going to put it into the system as a default option.
I'm sure that I'm sure that Greg's licensing fees aren't that expensive either. So,
Definitely not.
Yeah. Laserforce, it's well within your power to make this a reality. I suppose it makes sense that this becomes a standard. Although, with that in mind, I suppose you could do a a simplified version of this for a standard, but I guess like.
Nah, like this for a standard to me, honestly, like makes no sense.
Yeah,
like
especially when you have 20 people in there, right? Like,
yeah, I mean a standard game of Laserforce should, scoreboard wise, for the lobby, for the general public, should be almost that very chaotic thing where shit's bouncing around because scores are changing and teams are going up on top. Like that's exciting for the general public. Whereas like this is a much more measured and considered, sophisticated.
Yeah.
That's actually not a bad word for
Yeah.
it. It's a much more measured and sophisticated view of a much more measured and sophisticated and refined game.
Yeah.
Oh, see what I did there? You see what I did there?
Yeah, it was good.
You guys missed me. Probably not even a little bit. That's
you should like co-host some sort of internet television show.
I know it's almost like I've been doing this off and on for the last like 3 years.
We should have some sort of sarcasm meter. Because right now, this would be off the chart.
Or it would just like burn out. It would be like the crappy Russian ones that can't measure how much radiation is coming off Chernobyl and they just break.
It'd be like your computer.
Yeah, exactly. Stone Age technology.
Yeah, Heathen said, Greg, that you need to patent this shit now. He's not wrong.
Nah, it's open source and freely available.
Good guy, Greg. This is all good guy, Greg. I really dig the score tracker graph. Yeah, I think that just adds such a pleasant visual aspect to the score. Look at that spike. Go get him, red team.
Bases are an amazing thing, but
This is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, but there is definitely something with that, so that those times when like you look away from the screen and you look back and you're like, what the fuck just happened? if you've got this, kind of this, you can go, oh, that's what the fuck just happened, and then it's like, oh, okay, cool, yeah. There was a whole like set of base runs that I missed, so. Yeah, no, that's and being able to see how the game is trending over time and see exactly where the fight back happened and all that. Yeah, this is it's obviously it's a really niche thing, but it happens to be our niche, so it's really fucking cool.
What
I admit I'm kind of obsessed with the downtime tracker. That's like a kind of really cool feature for me, just to be able to see. Especially when somebody is kind of running low or something like that, how often they're getting reset with their graph getting reset constantly on their downtime tracker as an easy kind of visual cue to, oh yeah, they just got reset again and they're having a tough time getting back to where they need to go.
Right, we just crashed it, Nick.
Perfect.
That's what we do here on the Resupply. We crash things.
Yay, crashing things.
One thing you introduced in, I think maybe the last stream or the one before, was, whoa, look at it go. Was the it was the replay feature that you built in, which, like, again, for a spectator kind of point of view, that's such a cool thing to be out for, like, competent commentators to be able to do, to go back through and be like, oh my god, and like you said, Than, if people miss that turning point, go back to a specific part in the game and watch it all unfold again, perhaps from like a like after the game's actually finished, obviously, but yeah, to be able to go back and watch that stuff again, that's really cool. That's such a good feature and a good training tool as well. Like, if people,
oh, for sure,
yeah, if you can help grow how competent your players are using this, like, it's massive, so massive.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to be able to point out that if you're in the midpoint of the game or something like that, to tell your scouts you're heavy or something like that, hey, if the other team hasn't nuked at all, you have to be more careful about conserving your lives
Yeah.
and stay over that threshold of like 9 lives or something like that, because if that 3 chain comes out of nowhere, that could be all she wrote for you. So you being able to monitor those things and say, look, visually, here's what's happening. Look at where your lives are. Look at how the graph is diminishing. You know at that point no nukes have been thrown. So those are just things to be aware of.
And a comment that just got made in the chat within the last couple of minutes.
Ducky.
Ducky and Compy both saying having the total number of team lives up maybe in the
I already
4
said
months.
that.
Oh.
No, so they were referencing you. They said going back to DK's earlier point.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was.
Okay, I'm sorry. I can't read.
Fam, I already said this.
I'm really bad at my job. So
we all feel that way all the time.
And yet I'm still here. So yeah, sorry about that. My bad. Motherfuckers.
Compy also said, I'm nitpicking here under heavy since there's no special points. There's an empty box. Can we get rid of the box so people don't wonder why it's not working if they don't know the game?
Yes, we can, and we will.
Maybe just put no special points for you. Mr. Heavy.
I'm fucking badass. That's my special ability.
Yeah.
I'm coming and fuck all y'all up. That's my special.
Yeah, that's right. It's on my driver's license. Yeah, oh, dude, it's so cool. It's such a game changer to have this stuff. And yeah, I keep saying it, but fuck, it's cool. I can't get over how cool it is. Actually, to go back to the point you guys were making about DK, when you said about teams being aware, medics being aware. Okay, there's no drops being nuked yet. You need to make sure that you've got that lives buffer. Doing the same thing for like ammos at the start of the game that don't take resupplies, and if you can like go back and track specific players doing it consistently, that's another great learning tool, because we have it frustrates me to no end, hearing guys suits at the starts of games say lives critical as an ammo, like I was watching one game and one of the guys had they were on 4 lives for ages as the ammo, and they got down to 1. I'm just like, take a resupply. What are you doing? That shit's frustrating.
They bad, bro. They bad.
Maybe their medic went to bilge when they weren't supposed to.
Fucking bilge. Do either of you guys put this? You should put this guy sucks with an arrow in the box. Well, seeing as I play heavy a lot, that's definitely
fairly
should do
accurate.
that. Yeah, absolutely should do that. Does anybody in chat or anybody here have any more questions or anything you wanna? Do you wanna massage Greg's ego anymore? I could do it all day. Where's my payback?
You're not getting your payback, Ducky.
Wrong. Space Marines.
God, that what was a suggestion that one of the Detroit players made in like 2009 about heavy in Space 5. Oh, heavy in Space 5 should have payback. Shut your fucking whore mouth.
I was trying to think at one point, like, what would be the appropriate number of special points for that to cost to add something like that to Space 5? Because adding
50.
payback, yeah, it would be such a game changer.
Huge.
In so many ways.
I mean, imagine trying to like break in off a 2 nuke chain or something.
Yeah, it pretty much would. I mean, not invalidate that, because theoretically you could put enough pressure on the heavy to put them back down, but it would completely alter so many strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you had like a newer, like if you were playing regional games, you had a newer commander and they were dropping nukes as they got them. Yeah, that would basically negate any kind of attack you could send into a resupply. The heavy would just pop back up and smite you.
With great fury, I will smite you when you try to attack my resupply.
Man, you should play.
Motherfucker.
You should play D&D. Yeah. Was it?
If I was going to give the heaviest special ability, I'd pick some small period of time, 3 to 5 seconds, where shots from their own resup don't deact them. So essentially spam resupply. So maybe like for 3 seconds, the ammo on the medic can spam you to fill you up.
To fill you up.
Mm.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Oh, God, that would get broke so fast.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just imagining heavies getting super aggro then.
Make it cost like 30 special though, so you can't pop it at the start of the game.
Well, no, not at the start of the game, but even then.
Like after a 3 nuke chain, because that's significant for a heavy. That again, that would negate a 3 nuke chain, assuming that your heavy was doing enough work. You know, I don't
Biggest
know.
penalty, so just proving that there are penalty icons in the game for the Nats coming up.
Ooh, good one, Dan.
Oh yeah.
And actually, on that, so you, it's now been changed so that it doesn't remove the points. Is that right?
Correct. So penalties don't get subtracted unless you have exceeded your limit based on rules that will be decided by the tournament committee for any specific Nats. So the approach to the rules I'm hearing coming out of ECT was somewhere along the lines of 5 penalties. Once you've reached that threshold, everything will count towards you.
Wow.
So
I mean,
it'll kick in automatically. So in this case, Dead Inside didn't have 1,000 points subtracted from him. But if he had reached that threshold, then that 1,000 points would have come off automatically.
I mean, that was certainly the theory at SBT.
There was part of that as well was it was for repeat infringements of the same type of penalty, right?
Yeah.
There were some really good ideas.
Yeah.
With regards to the penalties for ECT. Some of the execution around those ideas left a little bit to be desired, but it was also the first time really that the thing was being done.
Yeah.
So,
This was
ECT. We've really only had now like 2 major tournaments with the 0-point penalties.
Yeah.
I think it's... Or has it been 3? I'm trying to remember if that's what we did. Did we do that in 2018 in Brisbane?
No.
I feel like we didn't. No, we didn't. No, we didn't do it until the last year's
Detroit.
Nats. They did it in Brisbane League before that.
Yeah.
But overall, there's always kinks to work out, but I think it's certainly been an improvement.
Heathen, yes, he did. He did keep arguing that penalty with me. While I was trying to like tell him to focus on the game, because I think actually if you go back, this might be when he got down to like 4 or 3 lives before I penalized him. I don't know if you can go back and check that, but yeah, this was,
we probably could.
Yeah, there we go. So he was down 4.
Yep.
And then
he's on 4.
Yeah, and then I ping him. And then he stood here arguing with me for a little
while.
while.
Hang on. He had both bases and still only had 1,000 points?
No, he doesn't.
No, he's got no bases.
Grayed out.
Okay, so that's me being old and whatever. Okay.
When the bases get so fancy. I think he gets down to like, he might lose. Oh no, you got to reset. But he got down to 3 lives, but he was stood there arguing with me for ages. And I was like, stop arguing with me. Get a resupply. You're going to die out. And then your whole team will be shitty. So just go get resupply. Play the game. I'll talk to you about it afterwards.
That's good advice for us all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just get resupplied and don't be shitty.
Yeah, cool your jets, Starsky. Penalty might look nicer under the angled edge at the right of the player info. Oh, I see what you mean.
Oh, okay, like down in this area here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it could even look like it was like tucked behind it, like a yellow card.
You mean like tucked behind at the yellow edge?
Yeah.
So you don't see like 3/4 of it.
Yeah, although then you got to be able to see the number properly, so maybe not.
Yeah.
We're just spitballing here.
Interesting thought, though.
Or put it into the gap between the player name and and the score, maybe because then it stays balanced for basically for all players. Whereas I feel like if you're putting it out to the right of that the score box, god damn, I can't talk. I feel like that makes the GUI a little unbalanced per player. I don't know. Yeah, Greg, user story. We want to test both those things and see what looks better.
Yeah, Heathen says could make 0 points a different color. I think the problem with that would be is that it's not immediately apparent from a system standpoint which penalties are going to be 0 and which aren't, because we can't differentiate if a ref is penalizing something that's going to stand versus not. We won't know that until after the game. So I don't know that we could differentiate those on this interface.
And I think from I don't know, it's hard because there's pros and cons for displaying either the subtracted score or the not subtracted score. Probably the better of the two is to not display the subtracted score.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's better to know what the score is most likely to be. And since most of the penalties that we're not dealing with are not actually subtracting points, it's a lot better not to have to do the mental math, even on a quick 1,000-point add or subtract. Because of all the information that's out there. There certainly were moments watching games last year at Nats or ECT where it was like, oh, right, the scores aren't actually the scores. That team actually probably has 3,000 more points because I have to add those things back in for penalties.
Yeah. Comp Geek said, just think it's a touch distracting when you're looking at it for how the game is running. I want to see it when I'm looking for it, but out of the way when I'm not. So yes, but one thing that's sort of that I had a thought on is if you do put it towards the end of the box, it is out of the way. But depending on how you place it, it could look like it's going. You know, you're like, okay, is it for the red team or the green team? Unless, of course, the green team also has penalties. But with it there, you know, dead inside has a penalty. Like it's very much in your face, and it kind of should be like because it's semi important. Yeah, which is why the thought of putting it between the player name and the score might also be something worth looking at least from a layout point of view, just because having it go score, penalties, bases. I don't know. It makes that section feel a little cluttered to me. We're all about clean. We're all about clean here. I don't know. I kind of like it where it is. I mean, maybe like shift it to the left a smidge so that you know the spacing. But I kind of like it there. Like, it seems. Yeah. Obviously, if you don't want it cluttered, don't get penalized, kids.
Let's just put it in the heavy special box. All the penalties just go directly to the heavies.
I am not okay with that.
You get to tank for your team, including the penalties.
Shit. No, no MVP at the end of the tournament for old mate Steve. Cool. Well, was there anything else you want to talk about?
No, not from me. Thanks for all the feedback. I'll put a bunch of those changes in that have been scrolling by.
Yeah, I am.
On Team Lives seems to be one that keeps popping up frequently, so I'll definitely put that in. Shots, I'm a little indifferent too. Definitely Team Lives will go in.
Yeah, I don't know if you need like a full team tracker for shots, because like
Team shots is pretty as far as that goes, but
it's only occasionally useful. Team Lives is pretty much always something that is of at least passing interest to look at on the screen.
Yeah.
Team shots, I think it really is only an issue you start looking at if one or both ammos are dead.
Might be a good idea to talk to Laserforce about implementing a 0-point option in the ref suit so it won't affect the live scoreboard. And Traj said...
Yeah, Traj is... Yeah, do that.
Chris said he can't change it. It could also be translated to not going to change it. That's probably more likely.
Yeah, I'm going to go with option B on that. That it's just, I don't want to do that. that's work that I just don't want to do. And honestly, that work would only really be useful to, again, a very small subset of people, namely, us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The 4 of us plus the 16 in the
well,
chat.
there's also a secondary thing to that as well, is that you as the ref, when you're penalizing somebody, you aren't necessarily going to know if that player is over cap or whatnot. So if you have, let's talk this through. How often are people hesitant on giving penalties? Answer: all the fucking time. It's a huge fucking problem.
Yeah.
So if you give a referee one more decision to have to make, as far as is this a point or non-point penalty, one, the player has potentially had a chance to get away, and then you have to hit him post game, and that defeats the whole fucking purpose. And then you've also got it's don't put barriers in the way of people assessing penalties. People have put enough barriers of their own in the way of assessing penalties.
Yeah, especially like a lot of old school players, because for the longest time, you had to, because it was such a turning point, you had to err on the side of caution, and the thought process was, if you weren't sure, or if you're in any sort of doubt, don't call a penalty. Whereas it's kind of flipped now, or at least that's how I approach the games as a ref.
Yeah, do it, and we can back it out later if we need to.
Yeah. I mean, that could be a topic for a whole other show.
I mean, we are struggling for content, so maybe that will be content for another show.
Are we struggling for content though?
No.
I mean, we've only had 2 shows.
Yeah,
as long as we get the technology to be reliable when it's called upon for showtime, I think we'll be okay. The content will take care of itself.
The timing of that was absolutely brilliant. I can't wait to include that in the blooper reel.
It must have been something with toggling it over to going live. But nothing changed on my output. I don't know. I don't get it.
It was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Attack guys just hate me. I'll just deal with it. It's fine.
All right, we've been going for an hour and a half now. But I mean, I could keep going. I could keep going if you guys want.
Congratulations to all of you who are still with us. I can't believe you've been watching this for 90 minutes.
We truly
take a few where I was out of commission.
Like, truly appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us, because it's I get a kick out of it, man. It's cool. To me, this is like almost a social club for a place where like the Laserforce nerds of this world can come and like hang out once a week.
It's the social club for the antisocial.
Accurate.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nah, this is so fucking awesome, and and I can't wait to actually be at a site where I can actually experience this firsthand.
Oh yeah.
Oh wait, that was supposed to happen in like less than a month, and it's not happening, and now I'm sad.
Wait, I was hanging on for the possibility of the Trans-Tasman bubble, and there's no way that's happening now, man. I blame Victoria. Fuck you, Victoria. You're doing a poor job. Clean your shit up. That's right, I'm talking to you, Ducky.
Yep. For you American viewers, he's talking about the state of Victoria, not just some
lady
woman named Victoria. Sorry to all the Victorias out there. We're not meaning to take shots at you.
Yeah, Victorias are the new Karens of this world. They have so many outbreaks. Damn. Yeah, it's like.
And let's not even get us started on Texas right now. Jesus fucking Christ!
Didn't they just reclose down the bars there?
Yes. So literally, no. So they literally did that like this morning, basically. And so of course, my Facebook feed has a lot of the people that book shows at these various bars and clubs. And so like literally my entire Facebook feed for for a period is people going, yeah, so those shows that we booked, yeah, so we got to cancel all of those, and this is after a bunch of them, because everything reopened, everybody has been rebooking, and everybody's been like, yeah, okay, we're rebooking, and we're still doing it smart, but we can do this, all right. And then today was just a swift kick in the nuts to everybody that had been booking shows, and everybody's just like, well, what are you gonna do? I mean, you can't really argue with the government too much about things, and then there was some various posts like, fuck it, just open anyway, and the people doing the booking are like, are you fucking stupid? Are you trying to get our liquor licenses revoked? Because that's what would happen, among other things, but that would happen, and then we'd be out of business. So no,
when Texas tells you shit's fucked, shit really be fucked.
Time to start hoarding gold, kids. Bury that shit in your backyard.
You can't eat gold. What is this nonsense?
Well, sometimes there's chocolate in the middle, so yes, you can.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. That's true.
You don't get a physique like this without knowing that. All right.
That's the best kind.
Ducky is World ISO King. I'd have to agree with that. I would just imagine he angrily sitting in his lounge, looking at the door, giving the world the Duckman stare. Which you can see if you come hang out with us tomorrow on the D&D stream. Watch. Look at that. Seamless. Seamless segue. Seamless. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Well done, Steve-O. Well done. That was seamless. That was smooth. Again, it was almost like you've been doing a podcast or something similar for nigh on 3 years now. That was a beautiful transition.
Oh yeah,
so good, my friend. So good.
Ducky, can't even argue with that. All right. It might be time to wrap things up. I don't have.
It's totally time to wrap things up because you keep saying and moving and trying to move things along. That's usually the point at which you've run out of things to talk about.
You've run out of transitions.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this shit up and let people get on with the rest of their day.
Finally made him laugh. I'll try. Every stream I'll try, Ducky. No, it's more because I don't have my pee bucket here, and I gotta go to the bathroom. So
the truth comes out.
Hey, you're just in time to see us close the show down, Rusty. But once again, we're gonna get on the jock of Mr. Dmihawk himself. Thank you so much for coming on and get it gathered. Dude, this stuff it rocks my world, and I'm glad that you let us steal some of your stream thunder from, because we'll have you on anytime. Anytime there's an update, just flick me a message, be like, bro, I'm coming on. I'll be like, all right, I'll make some space for you.
Got more cool shit to show you.
Yeah. And then it's a great ego boost for an hour and a half. So.
Well, the next step in the puzzle that I'd love to do, and I've already started talking to Morange about it, is I'd love to get Morange over here to mine so they can actually use telemetry controls. If we can get the schedules to align, get Wolfman on as well, and actually commentate a game.
I think that'd be cool.
I've seen a few Brisbane people in chat. Brisbane, if you guys have a league game that got recorded in TDF format that was particularly exciting, I'd love to use that because it'd be good for us to commentate on a game that we haven't seen as though we're kind of doing it live.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, Traj, whoever Laserforce President is, Rusty, if one of you guys has a game from a league night that was like
Never games are exciting, says Rusty.
It's the most exciting game you have in Rusty because we've already seen all the Auckland games that we have available several times now. So yeah, it'd be cool to see another site's games go through the system as well. But,
I would absolutely love to host that on here. We might just rehost the Auckland Laserforce tournaments one.
Well, we'll just do this via the Resupply stream, and
that'd be cool.
Have Scott round and we'll try and get Wolfman involved if he's free.
I would love to make.
Sexy.
Oh, I'd love to make that like a semi-regular thing. That'd be awesome. Given people don't have lives like most of us don't.
Mhm.
Accurate.
But yeah, thanks again for coming on. We really appreciate it.
No worries.
It's always I pay attention to whenever you stream because your shit is really cool. I'm going to try and do this seamlessly. Watch this, folks. Watch this. Hang on. Here we go. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. We're back.
Oh my
Seamless.
goodness. Oh, our heads are too big. I don't like this.
Seamless. I'm gonna get a
Why am I Dmihawk? Really?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Really?
That's what happens when you miss staff meetings, bro.
Yeah. No, that's totally fair.
Yeah, you get replaced.
That's my fault. Shit.
Hang on. There. See if I can quickly do that without it looking terrible.
That's okay. We're about to sign off anyhow.
We are.
Yeah, that's true. It's not enough of a problem to ask.
You can be Dmihawk for 2 minutes. Just deal with it.
Yeah, I'll cope.
It's oh man, it's so awesome to watch that stuff like in real time. It's so cool. Oh man, fan.
Yep. I think we have another
Bald
potential.
guys are interchangeable. Fuck you, hoodie. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on.
There you go. That's a little.
There he goes. All right.
Good enough.
Yeah, so we are gonna be back on going in. You could add a going infrared people to that screen. We could do that. There's so like if you guys have suggestions on how we can make this shit cool, please put them in the Discord because I've been having a bunch of ideas. I wanna put in some follow animations and stuff. I was telling DK about something I'm working on at the moment, which he's gonna absolutely love. But
it's
yeah,
a button he presses that just crashes my computer automatically.
But if you guys have any suggestions that for ways that we can make this stuff look kind of cool, prizes, flights to New Zealand, something that doesn't cost me any more money. Wet t-shirt comp. Oh, I'm gonna win that. I do want to get.
Steve-O does have the nicest boobs between the three of us. That is accurate.
I want to get a shirt, right? It's got the Resupply logo and it just says seamless on the front. But yeah, if you do have anything, just post it in the Matt, you're a bloody legend, a gentleman and a scholar. Chuck him in the Discord. We were very open to feedback on ways that we can make your viewing experience that much better. There's not much more we can do to be even more professional than we already are.
Nope.
Aside from maybe, more reliable equipment.
We're as professional now as we ever have been or ever will be.
Probably
Accurate.
less so,
100%
actually.
accurate.
Because we got to do this shit live, which means I can't, cut out terrible things. But we will be back. We'll be back with the resupply next week, same time. Tomorrow we'll be on with the DK D&D Chronicles. I think the resupply plays DK's D&D Chronicles. I think that we've officially named it. So we'll be
Something
back.
like that working title.
I'm pretty sure we could make it longer if we tried.
Yeah. It's under the mast of the resupply plays.
Yeah.
So we'll start with that. We have our own sub channel for that on the Discord now as well. So if you want to talk anything about the D&D stream, hop on there. Let us know stuff that we can fix. If you have questions about what we're doing, want to rep about anything D&D 5th edition or Roll20 related, I'm sure I can hop on there and help people out. But looking forward to that game tomorrow.
It's going to be great fun. Like, I was so amped after last week's session that I was like, man, I hope we get to play like next week. I don't know why we're not making this a weekly thing. And then about 15-20 minutes after the stream ended, I just crashed. I was absolutely shattered. and I don't know why. Like, it's not like we're doing anything. We're just sitting here for 2 hours. Settle your tutu down. I'll get my tutu all riled up, mate. But we'll be back tomorrow. Well, me and DK will. Than will stop in maybe next week when we do the resupply.
Actually, you probably won't see me next week because I'm on vacation in Colorado, and I'm just not thinking that showing up next week on my phone and Bluetooth headset really makes a ton of sense. So yeah, you will get a completely fan-free show next week, and the quality will probably go up like tenfold, so it's fine.
Look, if you have a shiny forehead, you want to be featured on our channel, please contact me on the Discord. All right, well, look, we're gonna leave it there for this week. I've been Guy Next Door.
I've been DK sometimes.
And I've been Fan for half the show.
Always remember to backtrack, kids. We will see you next week.
I've been throwing daggers in the night. I've been chasing all the stars, stealing all their lights. The cut so sharp, cut so deep. If they seem to hit their target, must be what we reap. 'Cause you don't know what I know. You don't feel the way I feel. All these places I wanna go. Makes me wonder if my looks could kill. I've been throwing daggers in my dreams. If they seem to hit their target, it's harder than it seems. 'Cause you don't know what I know. 'Cause you don't feel the way I feel. In all these places I wanna go. Makes me wonder if my looks could kill. I'm a well-known stranger, walking my own path. Gave up all my mysteries just to get a laugh. You keep me hanging on so tight. Sometimes I just have to